Yeah, this is something that's come up a lot, and I've been really trying to get my head around what happens here because
Yeah.
I mean I want to get into just like how this how counterfeited the entire market might be in a little bit, but
Yeah.
just to focus on GameStop here for like a second, like so you're saying that there's suggestions that like up to 840 million shares might be floating around. Most of those 800 million, maybe a little less,
Yeah.
if that is the case, will be synthetic and counterfeit.
Yep.
Like, what happens here? Like, like do you know that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just really confused as to like where this goes. Like, well, what happens when there's like a stock recall, or there is or what happens to a retail investor if he's just sat there and he's got his share that
Yeah.
just is completely synthetic? Is that guaranteed as a real asset? Is it technically legal for them to even be able to do this and like flood the market with these counterfeit shares? Like what
Well,
happens here?
the legality all comes down to whether the rules are ever enforced, right? So you can make as many rules as you want, but if there's no teeth behind them, what's the point?
Well,
Like if you never have a traffic cop hiding behind a billboard to catch speeders, you can go as fast as you want whenever you want, right? So the if these companies get caught counterfeiting all these shares, well, the fine might be $200. Like, who cares? If you made $1 billion, yeah, I'll pay whatever fine you want. The number of times that Citadel's been caught doing sketchy illegal things in the past couple of years is dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and they've made billions in the process and paid a few $1 million in fines. It's just the cost of doing business for them. And but as far as the retailers go, those counterfeit shares, they're treated just like real shares. They're basically an IOU. So you bought an IOU that trades just like any share of stock would. The difference is that yours isn't the actual stock certificate. It's this thing that says Citadel owes me a share, and the only way Citadel can clear that is to either find a physical share and replace that counterfeit, or buy it back from you, and it erases from existence, right? And that's that mother of all squeeze that everyone's talking about, the MOAS, mother of all short squeezes, is Citadel being forced to close all those counterfeits that they generated and all the synthetics that they owe to the firms they borrowed from, and they're trying to draw it out as long as possible. And their goal is, I think, to either get people to become bored and just sell their position and forget about it, or to just stay their execution, I guess. Live another day. But in the process, they've generated more counterfeits, and they've borrowed more shares in the meantime, trying to get the price down. And all they've done is just dug a hole deeper. The apes, as they call themselves on Reddit, they don't behave in a rational market. They, when the price goes up, you sell. When the price goes down, you panic and you sell. All they do is they buy and hold, and they are not obeying these normal market rules. And so the shorts, they'll do a ladder attack and they'll sell 5 million shares in a matter of minutes, and the price will drive down 20%. All the retail investors do is they go, cool, and they buy it all up. And they have more shares all of a sudden, and it goes right back to where it was. And these hedge funds are pulling their hair out because there's no panic selling. These people, they may have bought at $4, sat through $400, went back to 40, went to 350, back down to 110, and they have not sold. All they've done is bought more, and there's no answer for that. There's no, it is like art of war mastery by a bunch of idiots who should know better. And they're just like, oh yeah, I'll buy more. I don't care. My paycheck came in. I can afford 2 more shares. And you've got maybe 10 million people doing this who now own, probably more than 100 million shares. And eventually, they might own everything. If they keep taking whatever's being offered, there might not be anything left except synthetics in the big funds accounts, and all the shares in existence, all the counterfeits and otherwise, might physically be in the accounts of all these retailers. And then what? Like, if there's nothing left to lend, and all the retailers hold all the shares and they refuse to sell, that's when Citadel's screwed, because Citadel can't say, hey, I've got 100 shares I can get from this guy over here, because that guy doesn't have any more shares anymore. He lent them out months ago and has never gotten them back. So it's how it's going to unfold. I honestly don't know, but I think it's going to be such a shit show that we're going to see all sorts of laws passed by Congress to make sure something like this never happens again. Because the minute GameStop isn't the only thing that Citadel shorted. Citadel shorted BlackBerry, Rocket Mortgage, AMC Theaters, and probably 50 or 100 other companies. And if GameStop, with its 840 million counterfeit shares out there, all of a sudden gets margin called, right? That's, if you think about it, market cap wise, the market capitalization is how many shares in existence times the price of share. Well, if you go to Google Finance, it says, there's 70 million shares in existence. It's $200 a share. That's, 14 billion is our market capitalization. Well, 800 million are trading, which means the market cap might be close to 200 billion, and that's not being taken into consideration as far as Citadel's margin is concerned. So when this margin gets called and they're forced to buy all the shares back, they have to buy 200 billion, which is half of their entire portfolio, right? But the minute
that's only at the current price,
exactly, and then once that squeeze happens, demand goes through the roof, and that they're going to be bankrupt. There's no way Citadel can survive. And the minute they get margin called, they flood the market with whatever long positions they have, which doesn't really seem to be anything. They seem to only have shorts and puts and calls based on these shorts. And that means they're going to get margin called on AMC. They're going to get margin called on BlackBerry. They're going to get margin called on Bed Bath & Beyond. They're going to get margin called on whatever else that they owned. And so, there could be some old couple in Kentucky who have 1 million shares that are worth a penny in some unknown company, and wake up to find $1 million in their account one day because, 5 years ago, Citadel shorted a lawnmower company in Kentucky. So, how this chain reacts down the line is going to be on the order of 2008 and the mortgage backed securities, and when the entire market was being driven by these essentially hollow mortgages. Right now, we've got hollow stocks everywhere that are driving the profit incentive for all these big firms.
Yeah, I mean it's utterly insane, and you I've got a couple of lottery tickets in like a few shares of AMC and GME and BlackBerry, because why the fuck
why not?
Yeah, exactly. But the way you describe the Wall Street's bets people is amazing. You're just like, they're just idiots. Like they're not behaving rationally in a market, and that's exactly what it is. I saw this amazing comment because I've been just trawling through posts for weeks, like finding like comments and trying to assemble like how paranoid I think they are with the shills that are on the Discord, on Reddit, and so I come across some comments that are just gold, and I found one that said, the hedge funds have clearly underestimated a group of people raised on Friday night World of Warcraft raids, which is brilliant. But so, Citadel is potentially just gone in a few months. So when they get margin called, as we're suggesting, is quite possible, then they will liquidate everything they have in attempt to buy it. I think they're required to by law, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it's not them that does liquidation. It's the broker who they trade through.
Okay.
So the broker basically says, all right, you've been margin called by our lenders. By law, I have to liquidate what you have and buy for you to close out these positions. I mean, if you had a Robinhood account on margin and you made a terrible bet, Robinhood just liquidates what you have and pays themselves, because they're like, screw you, you're an idiot. I'm going to take what you have because I want my money back. The same thing happens to, Citadel in this case, or Melvin, or whoever else has shorted Susquehanna. And they go until that all their assets are to zero. And once those assets go to zero and there's still money owned, that's when the insurance kicks in. And the insurance is through generally through the clearinghouse. So the clearinghouse now has to use their substantial $67 trillion insurance policy to now balance these books. And the trading computers at the clearinghouse, they don't care about price. They just need to balance the books. And so what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, who has prices listed in they're for sale? Okay, there's $1 million for sale at $1,000 a share. Buy all those. Okay, now there's $2 million at $1,000.01. Buy all those. Now there's 500,000 at $1,000.03. Buy all those. And they're just going to work their way up until they clear out those 840 million shares that they need to balance the books. And I fully believe that there might be some weird, nanosecond where the only share available is some guy who put it for $420 million, and he sells 3 shares at that price just ridiculously, because that instant is the only moment there's a share listed available, and that will be the absolute king peak of the squeeze. Will be some guy who just put a joke price in to see if it would happen, and that
guy better throw a party for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. and the trading computers at the clearinghouse has to go until those books are balanced. Like, the squeeze will not be over until everyone finally gets what they're owed. And this is such a tightly wound knot. I mean, I was trying to use the analogy the other day of this is like if you took sewing thread and you had a knot the size of a house and you had to undo it, right? And because you might have your BlackRock that has their 9 million shares, but they're all synthetic. And so, Citadel gets margin called, finds 1 million shares, gives the BlackRock. Well, they still owe BlackRock 8 million shares. And so Citadel's like, I need more shares. BlackRock's like, I've got some I can sell you. So they sell those shares to Citadel. Citadel goes right back. I got some shares to sell you. And it just goes, it goes back again like that. And the dog's now coming to visit. So, this to unravel what everyone is owed, because, also these counterfeit shares have been bouncing back and forth. I buy a share, I sell it. Someone else buys it, sells it. So they have to unravel the chain of custody for those shares, oftentimes, to figure out who owes what. And it could take days or weeks for this squeeze to actually play out. So you might see peaks and valleys for 10, 15 days as it goes along, as different margins get called for different short sellers. The thing is that I think you want to be the first one called. You don't want to be the 15th margin call, because by then the price is going to be just stupid. And the numbers that people throw out there just seem brain breaking. A month ago it was $100,000 a share will probably be, the floor. And people are like, no, $10 million a share. And I honestly don't know.
Every week it seems to get higher.
Yeah, because I do think that someone or someones will be able to sell their shares for just prices that seem incomprehensible, because supply and demand. One of the first things they teach you in finance school is that a short position has infinite risk. So the risk for me is I didn't get to go on a vacation this year because of the pandemic, so I put my vacation money into GameStop. Like, if I lose my $1,000, who gives a shit? I'm right back where I was doing what I was doing. But my reward is $100,000 a share, and I get to retire and never do anything for anyone ever again. Cool. I can wait. I've got all the time in the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. It's like I mean, like my friend and I are sitting around being like, "This is boring." You know, I want to be rich already. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, or sign up to our mailing list. Thanks a lot to our sponsor, ExpressVPN, the #1 most trusted VPN. Get lightning fast connectivity with servers in 160 locations across 94 countries. Keep your browsing privacy safe with ExpressVPN and get a 35% discount on 12 months of ExpressVPN when you follow the link in the description below. Don't forget my book is now out and available to order on Amazon and on bookshop.org. That's Brexit, the Establishment Civil War. And most importantly, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.